I'm extremely optimistic for some people, especially when I look at the younger generations. When I look at like Gen Z, people of the right mindset have more opportunities than any previous generation by miles. I've met so many people who are 18, 19, 20, 21, and I'm like, dude, like, when I was 21, I couldn't even be doing what you're doing right now because the technology to enable it did not exist. So if you have a certain worldview and you're able to see the opportunity that is granted, take something really simple, take smartphones and social media. These things can bury people. You can destroy someone with a smartphone and social media. You can also have a 20-year-old who creates an empire and becomes a multimillionaire in his 20s. And I know people like this. I know many people in their 20s who are already multimillionaires because of the power of social media and smartphones. So do you choose to be a producer and to use these technologies and tools and the connections and people you can reach as a force for good? Or are you going to do what typical people do and just spend 8 hours getting brainwashed by TikTok and consuming nonsense and killing your attention span and buying into stupid ideologies and wasting all your time and all your money? Same tool, you've got both options. When I was 20, when you were 20, like those opportunities didn't even exist. The ability to connect with people. I'm connected to Elon Musk. I had Elon Musk on my podcast. That would not have been possible 20 years ago. For me to, how could I even reach him? How could I Zuby, how did you get him? I DM'd him. In fact, he DM'd me first, right? If I look at the people I'm connected to, a couple days ago, like I'm with one day, like in the past week, just in the past week, if I look at the people I've met and connected to, Tucker Carlson. In the last 10 days, I've connected with Tucker Carlson, Vivek Ramaswamy, Russell Brand, Tulsi Gabbard, Glenn Beck, Jeremy Boring, Ben Shapiro, Brett Cooper, Matt Walsh, Jordan Peterson. I could go on. This is in the last 10 days. How on earth we wouldn't even have known each other 20 years ago. I'm not even from this country. So, and I've done all this, I'm not tooting my own horn, but this is just through using these technologies well and using my voice well and communicating. No investment, no outside this, no outside that. Just look at the studio, look at the things like we're able to create and the opportunities. The fact that thousands of people are going to hear this conversation. We couldn't do this before. Maybe if you got hired by a big radio station, you could do it, but you couldn't just be like, I'm a random guy and I'm just going to start a podcast. Now you've got people who just start a YouTube channel in their bedroom, and within a couple of years, they've got hundreds of thousands or sometimes millions of followers and subscribers, and they're monetizing it, and they're getting out their message, and they're taking on. Who are the most listened to men in this entire country?
Tucker and
Joe Rogan. Like, and they're both independent.
I do tend to look at that and think, yeah, that's good. But I'm old enough to remember, Zuby, when the biggest voices in anyone's life were called mama, daddy, auntie, uncle, grandmama, granddaddy, meemaw, peepaw, whatever. And that we've now created through technology where because we'd had one record player and 2 TVs in the apartment me, my brother, and mother share. And so my mother's voice was the loudest voice in the house. And I didn't mean that because she was screaming and yelling. She was the adult in the house. And let's say it was a 1,400 square foot apartment we lived in. She could hear everything.
Yes.
And she had a comment about everything. Hey, Jason, I'd be in another room, but she could hear what I'm doing and blah, blah, blah. And if we wanted to play music, there was only one record player, so we all had to hear it. But now, through technology, it's like a kid can put some headphones in or earplugs in, and Snoop Dogg has them for the next hour.
Oh, for sure. That's been true my whole life.
Yes. Yeah. And so that's where it's like, is there too much? Has the primary disciples of young people, the primary people that should be influencing young people are actually the people that love them the most and have the most invested 100%. In them. And we've now given them, because, hey, I like Joe Rogan, but he's a pothead. He's, and he's presenting to the world like, hey, smoking weed and having conversations.
This is where, that's always been up to the parents. I mean, firstly, I think, again, it's important to remember around the world, the vast majority of children are growing up in two-parent households. The USA is one of the worst in the entire world in this regard, and I'd say it's one of the biggest problems in this country that you have such a high rate of single-parent families, mainly single mothers. That's a massive problem that a lot of people don't want to acknowledge. But even in this country, despite that, most kids in this country are growing up in two-parent households. It's just trending in the wrong direction. So,
two-parent working, a lot of these kids are, and so the more time you work, the less
time with the kids.
And so it's a different version of what two parents used to be about, and we're so materialistic in terms of. Me and my dad lived in a 400 square foot apartment, and it wasn't ideal, but I was not miserable.
Yeah.
I was not depressed. I had a great childhood.
Good.
And so my kid can't be happy unless he has a 500 square foot bedroom.